So it would appear here recently Carolyn has found her new home here in the greenhouse. She spent a lot of time planting seeds and egg cartons, and I don't know what all she's doing, but boy, I mean, she's really at it. Got her a thermometer. It's probably 40 degrees outside, but here we can see it's probably closer to 65 inside the greenhouse. So it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's cold and windy today. Whew. So I've been telling you that we're breeding chickens. So we have 2 roosters and 12 hens. And one of our hens have turned broody. Now I was expecting some others to turn broody on top of it, but haven't so far. So I originally thought we had 10 eggs. I thought I was put 10 eggs under it, but somehow or another I've miscounted. So it looks like there is probably 7 eggs in there now, is my best. I think that's what I counted the other day, was 7 eggs. So she is sitting on 7 eggs. I have to get up underneath her every day, lift her up and see if she's taking any more eggs in. Depending on their body size, they can hold anywhere from 10 to 7 eggs. That's why I gave her 10. She has the ability to determine if an egg is bad. So somehow or another, we have ceramic eggs. Somehow or another, she got 2 of them up underneath her. And I didn't see them at first, but she rejected those. So she can tell if an egg is fertile or if it's dying, or it just didn't take, whatever the case is. And so she rejected those the other day. I thought that was neat. Now there was 1 egg in there that I cracked, so I'm not really sure how I miscounted. But in the end, there was 1 that was cracked. Now I may have cracked that. When I picked it up, I didn't see my pencil marking. I put a pencil marking around each one of the eggs to know that those are the ones that she started laying on. That way, if she takes in a new egg, I don't get that mixed up. Well, I laid it on the ground, and then I picked it back up and I noticed the pencil mark. And I'm wondering if when I set it on the ground, if I cracked it. I mean, I don't know. But I'm taking blame for it just in case. That way the hen doesn't get blamed for it. So I'm gonna come down here and make sure she's doing okay. So we'll check her out. I'm not gonna mess with her. Yep, she's still there. Doing really well. She's got water over there. I've noticed that if we, Frenchie is protective of her. He keeps coming over. So I noticed that if I put some corn in front of her, she'll eat that. I was worried the other day, I told you that she wasn't coming out and eat. I know she is, she has to be, but I was just worried about her. So I put some corn in there and she ate, I mean, right then, took it and started eating it. That's good. Corn has a lot of sugar in it, it'll fatten her up, at least keep her energy higher. So now I know she's eating. Got water in there, she can drink water anytime she wants. She always lays in the same direction. So it makes you think that she hasn't moved. So I've gotten a lot of comments with what I'm supposed to be doing with the hen. So she'll be successful at raising chicks. I don't know the answer. I would like to say, yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do, but I've got several people that say I have to separate the hen from the rest of the flock because the rest of the flock will kill the chickens. Well, okay, so when you read all these blogs, I told you the other day, when you read these blogs, really it's kind of a coin toss as whether they're going to tell you that you have to separate the chicken or if you can do it with the rest of the flock. So if you're worried about having a chick raised by a hen that the other chickens may hurt it, then you probably should separate it. Now last year you will know that we tried to raise different age groups of chickens. I think we tried 3 different sets. So we had the Buffs and Frenchie, and then we got the New Hampshires, and then we got the Americanas. So let's say they were a month or 2 apart from each other. Well, the Buffs wouldn't tolerate any of them. We had to separate it, so I had to make my chicken run and split it in half. Well, then we got meat birds, and then so we split it into thirds. Wasn't really half, there's 3/10 here. There's 300 square feet is what it is. So I gave 100 square feet to the Reds and the Americanas. Now, the Reds were just a little bit older than the Americanas, and the Reds treated the Americanas very nicely. There was not a lot of pecking order, that's what they call it. But anytime I put any of them in there with the Buffs, which are supposed to be the most friendly chickens, would not tolerate any other chicken. I put the reds in there once, and oh, they just went just pounding them on the back of the head. So I had to bring them back. Well, then when the meat birds got too big, you're supposed to have a 1 square foot per chicken. So I had to open it up to give them 200 square feet, which was still not quite enough, but they weren't very active. They just laid around most of the time by the time they got to that age. So then I had to put the Americanas and the reds in with the buffs. Well, then they just hid in the chicken coop. They didn't come out at all. I mean, it was tough. I had to feed them. I had to figure out how to, so the buffs and Frenchie would come outside. I would close the door. Remember, it was really hot outside. It was summertime. I would close the door, give them some food and water so they could eat, and then I would open it back up, and then they'd come back up on the roost. Even before that, I didn't have a separate chicken coop when they were in their own chicken run. So I would have to every night put them into the camper, and every morning bring them back out. So I'm catching these birds all, twice a day. I didn't like having two sets of chickens trying to raise together and integrate them. So if I were to ever buy a new set of chickens, I would basically have to have a second flock, a second chicken coop, a second chicken run, and I would just have 2 flocks, because that's just too much work trying to 2 different age groups of chickens together. I felt like the chickens were suffering when they actually did have to integrate. Well, eventually they all figured it all out, and it took about 3 weeks of the Americanas and the reds being cooped up in that chicken coop, sitting on the roost day in, day out. And I thought it was just mean, almost to the point of abusive. I just felt terrible about it. So I won't do it again. So that brings us to the question of these chicks. They're going to be young chicks in with the rest of the chickens. Some people will say non-mother hens and the roosters will kill the chicks. Other things that I read say that the hen that is raising the chicks will protect the chicks. I read more articles about that. It's like 80-20. 80% of the articles I read say that the hen will protect the chicks. As a matter of fact, if you have a good rooster, the rooster will help protect the chicks. And I read that a lot too. And Frenchie is just an amazing rooster. It's amazing some of the things that he does to protect these hens. I told you a story a while back where he will not go to sleep until all the hens are inside the chicken coop. He won't go in there. He's always trying to chase them into the chicken coop when it starts to get dark. My theory is his eyesight is probably worse at night than the reds, because the reds are very stubborn. They don't want to go to bed when Frenchie wants to go to bed. So he's trying to chase them in there and push them in there. I think what it is he's worried it's getting too dark and they won't be able to find their way in. We had a bobcat here one time, and it stood right at this corner. I told you about the bobcat. It was huge. He was standing right here. This is our trash bag. We pick up scrap metal all over the place. I mean, we just find it everywhere. So anyway, this bobcat was right here, and Frenchie was right on the other side. While all the hens were trying to run into the chicken coop to get away from the bobcat, Frenchie stood right there. As I went in there just a few minutes ago to show you the chickens, Frenchie was right there seeing what I was doing. He didn't want me touching the hen or the chicks. We're gonna let the hen raise the chicks. If it doesn't work and we start to see that the other chickens are being violent to it, we probably will just go ahead and get rid of them. That way they're not being abused. But my guess is, and I've seen this with the buffs already, is the buff will protect it. When we were raising the New Hampshires and we tried to mix them in together, the New Hampshires tried to get underneath one of the buffs, and the buff was okay with it for a second, and then she realized, wait, these aren't mine, and then she pecked it. So I think that she will try to defend the chicks from the other chickens. Now, it's pretty cold. I just said it was pretty cold, and chickens have to be at a pretty high temperature, 90 to 100 degrees when they're first born. And I was worried, what are we going to do? There's no way to keep them warm. And sure enough, I read it. She'll keep them warm. At nighttime, she'll huddle with them and keep them warm. During the day, if they get cold, they can come up underneath her wings and she'll keep them warm. Here's my thinking. Out in the wild, they're going to have a flock, just like turkeys. Have you ever seen a flock of turkeys? I counted 27 turkeys one time in one flock when I went deer hunting one year. And they were just crossing the path. So they'll flock together. Well, one of those hens eventually is going to have chicks. And there's somehow in nature, they manage to deal with it then too. We don't need human intervention on everything, I don't think. Now, there was a question that came up when I was talking about this. How do you know the eggs are fertile? Well, this is actually a pretty easy answer. Because we have roosters. Those roosters are mating with the hens non-stop, all day long. Of course, they'll have a favorite hen. We have that problem. We got one hen who's just being absolutely abused by both of them. So they'll get a raw spot on the back. We've tried to buy chicken saddles, but she didn't like it. She wouldn't wear it. She just did everything she could. She laid down, rolled, and so we ended up taking it off of her. If a rooster mates with a hen, all the eggs that she lays for 7 to 10 days will be fertile. That means every egg we eat is fertile. Now, there's a lot of myths about this, like fertile eggs are better for you than non-fertile eggs. That's not true. It's not like you're going to open up an egg and you're going to see a little baby chick in there. If you let it sit in there for over 48 hours, you might see a little yellow spot in the yolk, but it's like a target right in the yolk. It's not the blood spots. Blood spots are just the vein broke while the hen was trying to pass the egg. It's not bad for you. So if you'll check out this other channel, I'd really appreciate it on this Up Next box. So I hope I can inspire you to learn as you go while you're living your dreams. Thanks for watching.